Hi, this is Dahlia.
And I'm Alma. This is Nightmare on Fifth Street, a horror movie podcast.
Year of the Nightmare on Fifth Street.
Y'all, we have been really lucky this season. Season 3, Queer Horror. We kind of just put out a shout out for our awesome guests, and I thought maybe one or two people would reply, and then as you all have been listening to our season, we have gotten lots of cool guests. And today we have Jessica Scott. I'm really excited. I've been reading. Okay, I know I'm talking to you right now, but we'll really talk to you in a second. But I've been reading some of your things and everything, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But first, in case our listeners do not know who Jessica Scott is a freelance film writer and critic. Her interests lie mainly with genre fare, particularly horror, and she is passionate about feminist and queer theory and mental health issues in film. You can find her work in Medium, Dread Central, Inverse, Nightmarish Conjurings, Film Cred, Ghouls Magazine, Gatecrashers, Screen Queens. That was going to be hard to say. I knew it. Slay Away, and I'm sure much more. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Okay. So this is going to be fun. I'm actually kind of excited about this. So I thought we're talking about some of your writing, and I thought what better way? Because this past weekend, the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre just came out, and I love this because you and I actually disagree on whether we liked it or not. But what I loved about reading your review is that you made some really good points. And I love the way that you came. So, okay, everybody can like or not like whatever they want, and they could talk about however they want. That doesn't bother me. But I just love it when someone, like, when you're in your review of the movie, you pointed out some things that I'm like, okay, I could see why somebody wouldn't like it from that perspective. I'm very lowbrow. So I will like almost anything you throw in front of me. So I enjoyed the shit out of it. But I did love reading your review on it. Like a few things that you mentioned. Well, I'm not gonna read your own words. I'm sure we have people on both sides, so please feel comfortable talking about what you did or didn't like about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It'll be a fun conversation, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, as long as people are respectful, like what you like, don't like what you don't like, but let's just have a nice conversation about it and not attack each other. Like, it's a movie that you don't like or don't like. It's not that big a deal. And I have seen a lot of reviews and a lot of comments from people who loved the movie that have made me think, oh, I see that too. That makes total sense to me. So that's why I like the actual dialogue instead of some of the people who are attacking each other. Because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm learning from people and I'm seeing their point of view too. I think part of it lies with how married you are to the original movie and how much love you have for Sally Hardesty. Like, if you're really emotionally invested in her arc, I think you might have more trouble with this movie than others. And I don't want to spoil it. If people haven't seen it, I'm never going to tell anybody not to see a horror movie. Even if I hated it, I'm never going to say, oh, don't bother with it. No, watch it, make up your own mind. So I don't want to spoil it for people. But I was not a fan of what they did with her, even though I understand what they were commenting on when they did that, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be as circumspect as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally get that because I didn't see that until afterwards when I started seeing people that like, oh, they did her story wrong. Let's just put it that way. And I was like, I wouldn't have thought that way. Because I thought, first of all, I think she's aged beautifully. And I love that she was in it. What was it? A Texas Ranger? Maybe I think it was.
She's been a Texas Ranger for like 40 years. 50 years.
So they did this, but you're right. I think having her in the movie could have been fun if they did more with her. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely saw
I
that.
do feel like that was a wasted opportunity. I mean, I get what they were going for, kind of making fun of the legacy character coming back for somebody being hell bent on revenge for decades. I get that they were kind of poking fun at that, but I think part of it is how emotionally invested you are in something. I will admit to
Yeah.
taking certain films very seriously, and a lot of people are who like, bro, it's a movie, don't take it so seriously. But I will admit that I do with this movie. So I think that has a lot to do with how people are reacting to it. There were parts of the movie that I really liked, and I think if it had been not Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just some other random slasher, I might have enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
I think it's just really hard when you've got all the baggage of all those decades and, you know, all the love for the original. I get that it's almost impossible for a filmmaker to make something that will appeal to everybody when you're working with this legacy. So I get how hard that is. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of some of the political commentary that he tried to make. I wasn't a fan of making the victim of a school shooting pick up a gun to fight back.
That was hard. I'm not gonna lie. Even I had trouble with that because this was, I thought, kind of like a campy horror gore, kind of like I thought I was gonna have fun with it. And even in those parts, I was kind of like, I got really, it was hard. Even though it's a fictitious character, you still, because it is, we live here in the United States. For anybody who's not in the United States, I mean, this is something we are, unfortunately, it's not news because it is. I mean, it's news because it's not news, and back and forth, and it just happens way too much here. And so that was really hard to watch. Again, that story probably could have been fleshed out a little bit more as well if they were going to go that route. But but in general, though, I do try to disconnect a lot. So I thought, even though I haven't watched all of them, I thought this was more like the later Freddy movies. Not Freddy, I'm sorry, Jason, Friday the 13th, type of like, what was when he goes to Manhattan? Very just, it doesn't seem right. Something's wrong here. It's
an alternate universe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with the follow through with a certain, like, the social commentary was like, but I did see it like that. I was actually surprised, Dahlia, because I know she's a real big fan of the original. When it comes to like the character arc, like I'm more invested like in the Halloween. It's where it was like when Laurie Strode, they was like, why did they kill her off? Then I was angry. And then and it was like, because the character is what you follow. And so with this one, I was able to have a disconnect because each one I did follow kind of like the with Jason, each one as like a standalone, each one, you know. But when I'm not a critic, so I'm not very good at saying like the negative things about movies. So when I watched it, I could definitely see it as a standalone movie, saying a few things that I didn't enjoy, but then tell you first thing, because I love that you said you would never tell somebody to watch or not watch a movie, because to each their own. But I will say I love the kills, because I'll say something positive, something I pull that out of like pretty much. I mean, there's a handful of movies I think Valley and I agreed on that were like, let's not ever talk about those.
But for the most part, I think we can find something good in almost everything. We'll find, and for us, if we can't find anything good with a movie, it's most likely going to be the kills, because we love, even though it wasn't all practical effects. I get it. Alma and I are a fan of practical effects. So if you have practical effects in your movie, doesn't matter how bad the movie is, doesn't matter how bad the practical effects are, we're probably going to like it. So, but like I said, like reading your review on it, I enjoyed reading that. Also, when you talked about what you mentioned not being sure who the movie was targeted to. And in seeing people who, I'll say from my point of view, who liked it, I think I totally see what you're talking about, because I'm in an older demographic of people liking it. And then I did see some younger people liking it. And it's like, and then like, I'm looking at our backgrounds. I'm like, wow, we are all over the place. Who is liking this and who is not liking this? It is kind of interesting to see. And then some people that I thought definitely wouldn't like it, they're all like, oh, it was fun. And I'm like, you liked it? Oh, okay, cool. I feel a little validated. I know it's ridiculous, but yeah.
No, yeah, it's been so polarizing and such a litmus test, but it's just personal taste. Like, this one didn't work for me. It worked for a lot of people, and I'm thrilled for them. Like, anytime somebody watches a horror movie and they're like, I had so much fun, it was the best time, I'm like, hooray, I'm so glad. Because I just want people to love horror,
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I'm afraid of this conversation, like having people being turned off of horror, because I'm like, no, we're disagreeing. I know, but come here, come on. It's like brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, and everybody fighting, over the Thanksgiving table, and at the end of the day,
well, maybe not so violent, because I like the way that you, with your Jessica, the way you said it, because it's like I'm not going to hate anybody because they hate the movie that I love. It's just not the way that I am. It's okay if you hate something that I absolutely love and adore. It doesn't get to me the same way. The discussion is important a lot, and that way you can get better movies, pull out greater ideas each time. It'll get better, and not everything is going to be better. So sometimes you just have to find something to enjoy out there. But it's great just to put something on without like the preconceived notion of somebody else telling you should hate this or love it.
That's exactly it right there. Mm-hmm. That's 100%. And I think just don't listen to anybody else go in. And if you don't like it for your own reasons, perfect. Just don't let anybody make that decision for you. But real quick, before we move on from this. Okay. So it sounds like we're all fans of the original. Okay. So we're going past the original. Which one is your favorite? I don't know if you would call it sequel, because some of them are like recreations or whatever. Right. Which is your favorite? I'm doing it in quotes. Beyond the original, like, would you choose, like, okay, if I had to choose one, the second one or whatever, the one with what is her name, Jessica Biel? I don't know. I'm just making shit up right now.
Mine is The Next Generation, the fourth movie in the franchise. It's so wild and just out there. That one is my favorite. I love it when movies just go for it like that.
Mm-hmm. And Alma?
I feel embarrassed because I like the one that was 3D, because I just thought it was just, but it was like for different reasons. Sometimes I do. It's like when it's I thought of like the Hatchet series is completely just sometimes just like what, but
it's out there.
That. And I have a little special place in my heart for some of the movies that were done in 3D, like My Bloody Valentine.
Oh my gosh.
You Be Quiet. It was fun.
I love that one.
Anytime you can yell 3D.
Yes, like, that's what we do. That's
one of the Final Destinations went to. It's like, it's the same thing. It's like, it's ridiculous, but it's fun. I know. Was that the Jessica Biel one? Right? No. Okay, I didn't think so. Because I forget which one is it. But okay, so I'm embarrassed too, but it's the Jessica Biel one. And it's because for a weird reason, it's the fashion. It's so early 2000s. And for some reason, when I look at a movie in the early 2000s, any horror movie, excuse me, it's like they really wanted to include the fashion of the time in it. And I just get so fixated. Alma knows me in fashion and horror movies. Fashion. I get fixated. It's like, you can't run in those pants. Stuff like that. So for some reason, it's like, it's a really weird reason. And I guess that goes to show that it's just like, I'm not really a fan, quotes there, of the rest of the, the movies. But if I got to pick something, it's going to be that one, because any horror in the early 2000s is going to be fun. Like, come on.
But the early 2000 fashion does not get enough love. It just doesn't. Everybody's always picking on those layers and the low-rise jeans and everything. But that was when I was, becoming an adult, and that's what we wore.
Right? Exactly.
Fun clothes.
But speaking of fashion in horror movies, well, it's a dark comedy, but we'll get into that in a minute. But speaking of fashion, the fashion in this movie, Alma, what movie are we watching? Because the fashion in this movie, I want to get into it too, because
we're here to talk about Jawbreaker from 1999.
All right, tell us about it.
All right. Oh, should I read a little summary first, and then I'll get to the director and stuff? All right. 3 of the most popular girls at Reagan High School accidentally kill the prom queen. with a Jawbreaker when kidnapping goes horribly wrong. It's a birthday kidnapping. Isn't that special?
Horribly wrong.
Oh yeah, it goes really wrong. That part's the bummer part, but the rest of it's pretty cool.
Okay, tell us who's in it because I want to talk about this horribly wrong prank here in a second.
Okay. All right. It is written and directed by Darren Stein, starring Rose McGowan as Courtney, Rebecca Gayheart as Julie, Julie Benz as Marcy, Judy Greer as Fern and later Violet, Pam Greer as Detective Vera Cruz. I want to say Vera Cruz so bad. And I did it anyway. Chad Christ as Zach. And I wrote like some of the minor roles because they're all kind of important. There's a lot of great.
Very important.
Cast is everyone is really important because it pulling from a lot of decades of like teen horror, all great. So Charlotte Ayana splays Liz Purr. Of course, she's dead the whole movie. But we had Tatiana Ali playing Brenda, Carol Kane as Miss Sherwood, and Carol Kane, her voice is just.
I've always loved.
I love it. That woman's voice is so beautiful to me. PJ Souls and William Catt of Carrie fame, who played Tommy Ross and Norma in Carrie. They play Liz Purr's parents. Jeff Conway, Kaneki from Greece. He played Marcy's dad.
Oh, rest in peace. But yeah, PJ Souls, I hated her. I fucking hated her in Carrie. You know that, Alma. I fucking hated her in Carrie.
She quotes her. That's how much she's obsessed
but
with
I love PJ Souls. I love her. So it's so funny. But yeah, I hate her character. Of course, like you said, Tommy Ross and then Kaneki. So I love that they don't play big roles. They're very like not even in the periphery. They're just kind of like boom, there they are. Boom, there they are. So I love that they play these very, very small parts. But they're horror. What do they call it? When they're
icons, like I don't know,
like horror royalty.
Thank you, royalty.
There you go. There you go. And it's like the whole teen scene, even though they're like adults when they play teenagers, it doesn't matter. But who doesn't want to do that? Have a little fun.
Okay, so Jessica, I know you said you loved this movie.
Yes.
We had to rent it on Prime TV. Where are you finding it?
I have the Blu-ray. I have a copy.
Of course, I was hoping you would say that. I was hoping you'd say that. So you probably have a lot of like nuggets of goodness to share here because that's what I love about the Blu-rays. They have all those extra things and everything. So, okay, so real quick, I want to talk about the fact that because we talked about them being teen people from horror. See, I already fucked that up. See, I'm not good with words. That's why I'm not a writer, Jessica. So these characters were these actors were specifically picked because they are not teens. They were not teens themselves. They were, I believe, all in their 20s by then, or at least mid 20s.
Rose McGowan was 26. Rebecca Gayheart was 20. Did I have it right? 28. Julie Benz was 27.
Because and they were picked as they're in their 20s because he was the director was doing it because that's what they did, and it was very purposeful. It's like they did it with Carrie. I think he even used the Carrie as an example. Like they chose non-teens to play teens, and he thought that was funny, so he went ahead and did it. So I just thought that was kind of funny that he did it too. But so the director, and I'm bad with names again. Well, who's the director again?
Darren Stein.
I'm really bad with names, Jessica. I'm sorry. There's no disrespect to anybody, so I'm going to forget everybody's name except my queen, Rose McGowan, because I am in love with her. So, okay, all right. So, Jessica, this season for us is season 3 is queer horror. You had mentioned that when I saw your tweet, talking about this movie, what about this movie for you? Because I don't think it's very. I don't think it's made like, look at this queer movie, what to you about this movie makes it a queer movie? I guess it's the best way to ask that.
Okay. Well, a couple of things. Number one is, Darren Stein is an out gay man who is making something as campy as possible. Like he wanted it to be as queer as possible. I think with just the way the transitions, like you've got these wipes with these funny noises, like there's so much camp in this movie. But also I think that Courtney and Fern at least are queer icons. Like Fern is clearly in love with Liz.
Oh yeah.
And Courtney, I think, is bi or pan. Like she is like she jokes that she's turned on when Rebecca Gayhart's character starts getting really aggressive with her, and I don't think she's joking about that. I think she's serious there. Like there's so much queer energy in this movie just with those two girls, and just the high femme camp of it all just screams queer horror to me. And I know it's more horror adjacent than horror, but there's enough horror elements, I think, to qualify.
Oh, absolutely. And I read a quote. I was reading about I'm sorry, the writer. I don't know why my brain does this. It just dumps certain things. But when the writer was talking about when he was writing this, he set out to write a horror movie. And then as he wrote it, he realized, oh, there's more comedy in this than horror. So now we can, we have a dark comedy. And I like that because everything that you mentioned too are the things that I love about this movie. The weird transitions, the weird sounds, that ending I was going to talk about when we get there, when she does the whole sound at the end when the picture's taken over. Like, oh, I fucking love it. It's just so like, it's perfect. And whether it was intentional or not, the dynamic between Fern and Courtney, yes, absolutely. I mean, that's, for me, again, even though if it wasn't intentional, it's very obvious. Fern in love with the team.
Liz.
Liz. Thank you. But I mean,
the movie begins with like a love letter to
exactly
Liz Purr. It's beautiful. She is talking about everything that she loves about her, and all of this. It's like from afar, noticing her and the way she looks. And I just love the way that they introduce Liz Purr, because she is, she's killed right in the beginning of it, but she's so perfect and sweet looking, because you never hear anything about her personality. I mean, she's in this group, and Courtney is like, with her abrasive, strong personality and everything. It's like, what was Liz's? We don't know. Hers is just going to be this legendary, always spoken of in beautiful terms, because we don't know her. And so Fern speaking about her in the beginning and describing her and everything, it's beautiful to me. And it's a great opener for, it's just like right there. It's just like, oh, and sweet. Sweet, beautiful, wonderful.
So Jessica, other than Fern saying that she was like so good and everything like that, does anybody else talk about her being as angelic as Fern makes her out to be? Or do we ever get glimpses of, other than the lie that Courtney's trying to portray?
I think Julie talks about how, she doesn't really care for the games that Marcy and Courtney play. She's like, that was all bullshit. But with Liz, it was real. I think Julie talks about how great Liz is too. Like, she saw Courtney for who she was and for being so toxic and just evil. But, I don't think it's just Liz like romanticizing her. I think Liz Purr really was that perfect girl. Yeah.
Because that's what we see.
And it makes sense. And I think it makes sense as well, because Julie, the whole time, Liz was her childhood friend, and the way that she is, not really so attached to the group after Liz Purr is gone is like more proof that she had more of a connection with her. And the fact that she's doing good or trying to do good after they accidentally kill her is proof, I think, too, that they had better, closer personalities and were probably way nicer and way better. But
well, what's hard for me is, and I'm going to say it right out the gate here, it's really hard, and I know I should really hate Rose McGowan's character a lot more than I do. But I have this thing, Alma knows, that if I love the actor playing a certain role, I'm probably going to be on their side. So I loved Rose McGowan before I ever watched this movie. So of course I was going to side with her, whatever the hell she did. So I'm loving her. I'm loving even when she just starts doing shit that is just not right. I'm still like, but come on, y'all. She's saving your ass. She's trying to help you guys. Why don't you see it from her side? But obviously, she takes things too far. But it's very hard for me, and it's so funny too because I love Rebecca Gayheart. I love her too, but for some reason, I just she made me angry. It's like, why are you trying to tell on her? Why are you trying to fuck up her life? The ending when she like gets back at her, I'm like, yeah, you're wrong there. So I know that's wrong. I know it's wrong, but it has a lot to do with the fact, like I said, it's just like I love Rose McGowan, so I'm totally on her side. And now, when I talk about the fashion, now we were talking about the fashion before we started recording. You shared some beautiful pictures of yourself, Jessica. Kind of getting inspired for this, and I think I forgot to mention you cosplay as well, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so let's talk about the fashion of this movie. This is what 99. It came out in 99, so probably 88, 99, 88, 98, 99. They were dressing, and it's kind of interesting because usually, well, I won't say usually. This is they are dressing mature, like if they were older women, very kind of old Hollywood. I'm like, again, I'm not very much into fashion, so I'm sure there's terms for all this, but I love the way these ladies were dressed during this movie. A lot of the fashion, they each had their own style, but it was still kind of it was
I describe it as out of time. I say it's out of time because it is the reason I think that it stands up so well to watch it, 20 years later, is because the fashion for the lead actresses there is standalone. It is inspired by different decades. You can see the pinup in Rose McGowan. You can see the skirts, the A-line skirts, the bustiers, everything. It's not 99 fashion. It's not. If you look at a lot of the other characters, you can see that a lot. And so I saw Grease inspired. You see the costume designer, Vicki Brinkard, that was her last name for the film, also did Clueless and Romy and Michelle's high school reunion.
Oh,
and
I see Romy and Michelle.
Look at the colors, the bright and everything. And I pointed that out, and it was just like when I said it, some people are like, yeah, it is. It is not really 99 fashion. It's its own thing. It's like it's inspired. That way you look at it later and you're like, even then they're going to stand out. Every outfit is just its own, work of art that you can reflect upon later. But the fashion is just, I love that. That's why I think I like the colors, the brightness, the shapes. Very adult.
Yeah, I love that you make that point because it's got like some 60s elements that like with the really bright color blocking. And I think Violet is kind of a play on, I don't know if you know the Shirley MacLaine movie, What a Way to Go, but there's this famous picture of her. She's got this fur coat from shoulder to the floor that's all pink. Her hair is pink, her dress is pink, her fur coat is pink. And I always think of that image when I see Violet with all of her hot pink all over. So I think this is like every decade of Hollywood they're paying tribute to.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's every decade of Hollywood. I like that. I'm going to definitely have to look that up too. That way I can kind of so I can see what you're talking about. The other, it was interesting. I saw. Okay, I pulled it up in front of me and I lost it here. But some of the Betty Page inspiration too was another thing that I saw. And you have very. This is and I hate to bring this up, but it is during this time, late 90s, early 2000s, you unfortunately did see a lot of a very specific body type on screen and pressure to conform and all that. But then you have someone like Rose McGowan, who is not going to be your typical body type of that time. And this is another reason I think why I really fell in love with her as a person off screen, because she was always, and even today, she's always been very assertive, very proud, very everything. And she's just like, she doesn't give a shit about what anybody thinks about anything. And at the time she could, and unfortunately I have read that, she did have some pressure during that time, but she still was herself. And I love that you could see that in this film where, and at the time she's also I was going to say fiancéed. She was engaged to Marilyn Manson too. So you can kind of see a little bit of that too. Mm-hmm. But, they worked with her instead of trying to make her something else, I think is what I was trying to say.
Mhm.
And I like that. So like I read that.
I think there was a part, there's specifically because they went out to eat together during the filming of the movie. And she said she didn't want to eat because she wanted the paparazzi taking pictures of her eating. And in the film, they said the same thing. We don't eat where people can see it. And it was like, one of the other actresses was like, oh my gosh, it's like maybe they did kind of like build on her own personal character, personality for the character. And I thought that was really cool.
It's like it was her character. They used a lot of her, like even the tattoo that she had of herself on. They were trying to see if they could put makeup, digitally remove it. It was going to be too expensive. They decided to go with it. Again, I think that's why I like that they worked with her. I mean, not work with her. I think you know what I mean. They were just gonna like, okay, we're just gonna. She knows what she's doing. Let's move forward, type of thing. But she's not the only person in the movie. And I told Alma beforehand, before we start recording, I'm like, Alma, please don't let me make this a fucking Rose McGowan episode. So Alma, please steer me away from talking about Rose McGowan.
She'll just keep doing it. Let's get into the movie then. And so first impressions from the first opening scene and the walking and Fern narrating everything. Jessica, do you love watching that over and over?
Oh my God, I love it. I love the scene. I love all the iconic hallway walking scenes. Like there are so many of them, but I was hooked. I saw this one for the first time when it came out in the theaters. So because I saw the ads for it, I was like, this is absolutely my shit. I am gonna go see this. But yeah, I was just obsessed with, like, it's this kind of sweet fairy tale, and then everything. I like it. The Jawbreaker is so perfect. It's sweet and sour. You've got the sweetness of these, beautiful high school girls, but the sourness of high school politics and all the things that they have to put up with from other people and all the things that they inflict on other people, and female friendships and how they can sometimes be the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. I was just obsessed with that from the beginning. But I'm a sucker for color. I'm obsessed with color. So just how bright and campy and candy colored this whole thing was, and the soundtrack. I know we're going to talk about the soundtrack at some point.
But you said candy colored. I love that. I hadn't thought of it. And the movie is called Jawbreaker. Why did it never clicked for me? Yes, it's so very candy. It's just like, oh my gosh, yes, the colors, because it's very colorful. I've always loved the colors of this, but yes, candy everywhere.
I don't know if it's a biased opinion or not, because I'm always like, maybe it just feels like everything was so purposeful in the creating of this movie sometimes, that it's just like, I don't want to sound like somebody is like really, really not like, but seriously, even Pam Grier says it. It's like that's it when she was talking to one of them interviewing, it's like the sourness inside. She was like, and I was like, and also the whole thing with the Jawbreaker too, because I hated those, the inside of the Jawbreaker. And it's literal references to the Jawbreaker. It's figurative. There's so much, just everything just related. It's perfect.
It is. And it's like you use something so innocuous, like, that Courtney was just seething with jealousy over Liz, their entire friendship. And she silences her, like, very specific. You can't tell me that she didn't do that on purpose. I absolutely think that was what's the word? I can't come up with it right now, but that was a murder and it was pre-planned. And what she silences her with something that's so sweet and sickly, it's so sweet, like Liz herself. Like, it's this poetic justice that Courtney enacts on her. It's so perfect.
Ooh, poetic, a poetic.
It was huge.
As far as murder, I like that.
I never tried one of those. Those things were so big. And when I saw the movie, because I'm not one to look up movies before I watch it, I would just go to the theater, because this is the thing our mom did. She would just go into any movie, what's showing in 30 minutes, and walk in. So Jawbreaker, that opening scene with that huge jawbreaker in the throat, I was like, what movie is this?
They did it so well, because they did the face, the makeup, everything, and then that, and the way it pans down, and because you're waiting for it, it happened, and then when they show it, you're like, holy shit. Oh my God,
it's gonna happen. She shoved it in the way she taped it up. I was like, when they reveal that it's the friends who are kidnapping her for her 17th birthday, I couldn't see the sweetness of it because I was thinking to myself, she's in the trunk with a jawbreaker. Why is that a thing you do? I watched it with my daughters who said the same thing.
Oh, yeah. So you watched it with her?
Yeah, I watched it with the youngest one.
Oh my God.
Well, she's 13.
I know, but I didn't know you watched it with her. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the other one too. I have two.
No, she said she wanted to watch Heathers after this, right?
Yeah, as soon as she was watching the opening, she was like, I'm in the mood to watch Heathers now. And it was like, exactly, we'll watch Heathers afterward. And so I was like, at a certain scene, I was like, you can go for this scene, because I always tell her, I already know what's coming on. I've watched everything 100 times. But then we watched Heathers the morning after, the next morning, so that she could watch it, because she was like so in the mood for watching it. And I was like, you get it.
Are you a fan of Heathers as well, Jessica?
Oh my God, yes. Yeah. That was like a formative movie for me when I was a teenager. I'm obsessed with Heathers.
Well, it's funny because I mentioned earlier to somebody else, like, oh, I'm going to be recording an episode and we're talking about Jawbreaker, and they're like, oh, I like Heathers better. I'm like, it's so funny. You think of Jawbreaker, you're going to think of Heathers. It's so funny. But okay, so this scene, I'm just going to come back real quick to the scene in the trunk. Actually, the whole kidnapping thing. So the writer based this on I think he said in high school where he lived. I think he said in the Valley, California. The friends did this a lot. They would kidnap each other for birthdays, and of course, he said that it wasn't as violent as this. Obviously, thank goodness. It was just with the parents' help. They would arrange their friends to be kidnapped by their friends, and then they'd take them over to like Denny's or somewhere, have breakfast, and then tie their friends up to like whatever. So this was based on like that, and then of course he took this this turn with the Jawbreaker. But Jessica, I love the way you described that, because I hadn't really for me it's always been, it was just an accident. But yeah, I mean, it could have very well have been something that she had in her head this whole time, and like, I'm gonna shove this in her mouth, and if it happens, it was an accident.
And it said right in the beginning when she was like, this makes you like kind of the shoe-in to be prom queen now, when they tell Courtney that it's Marcy who tells her that. It's like, yeah, because she was gonna be the prom queen. Okay, so right away they see their friend has died. And the thing is that Courtney is so in charge that she gets everybody right away to go, let's cover this up scenario. And that's why I always remembered when I first watched it, because I was like, what is going on? And just that whole scene of trying to come up with a scenario and everything of how we're going to cover this up, and how they end up going to school with their best friend in the truck. This is why it's horror adjacent. Think of the situation here.
Everything that happens around the body and everything.
Yes. It's way far. That's what I love about like the dark comedy movies, because they're just right there. There's something real about them with this scary factor, and then the humor that's added because of the bizarreness of every step, that Courtney is just so over the top with everything that she thinks of, conceives, from the Jawbreaker to the end of the movie. It's like everything is so like, what? But in Dalia's case, of course, she's loving it, but we also love the villains too sometimes. And it's good to have women villains, because I'm like, equal opportunity,
Well,
Fair.
Jessica, I know a lot of what we're doing. Well, some of it is, narrated, and they speak what they're thinking, like the evil villains that, that they are. But Jessica, do you think, we're doing a little supposition here. Do you think that Courtney was trying to help them all when they were trying to, cover up what happened to her, to Liz? Or do you think really it was more about herself? I mean, again, because it's, it's supposition here, but what do you think? More herself, more the crew? What do you think is going on here?
I think it's all about Courtney. And I do think it was all about being prom queen. Like, all she cared about the entire time.
I love that.
She got rid of her one obstacle. And, now she's got, especially because Marcy is such a follower, like she looks to Courtney before she does anything. She's like, I've got accomplices. I've got people who will protect me to protect themselves. It's a way of covering her own ass, like having other people involved, people who will protect her because they fear her. So I think this was all about Courtney, because I don't think anything in Courtney's life is about anything but Courtney.
Okay. And I do see that. I do try to, like I said, I do try to say, no, it's for everybody's benefit, but no, it's
no,
definitely.
It was the Courtney show. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. It's really hard to be the Noxzema girl in this movie next to Courtney, prom queen, and not see that this other person who's doing everything wrong. Look at everybody.
Yeah.
People love this character for a reason.
Yeah. But, so let's talk about Rebecca Gayheart's character then, since we brought her up. Okay. Because she is the one who breaks off from the group once everything goes down. And like I said, even though I should morally, ethically be on her side, and I am, in real life, I cheer on the people who are in the right, not in the wrong. But in movies,
we can cheer on whoever we want.
So I actually kind of felt very sad for her character, because this was the first time, and it was because the death of her best friend, that she was finally able to explore herself and be herself. So when she's when she's sitting alone, or she's trying to figure out, like you said, the politics of high school, Jessica, trying to figure out where she's going to sit to eat lunch, or when she sees a cute boy and then they go driving together and she gives him her number, probably something that at least Courtney wouldn't have allowed her to do, very mean girl like. So she's starting to explore a little bit, being like a kid, these are adults, but I mean, like high school, you're a kid. That's when you're supposed to be trying to figure all this stuff out. I don't think she'd had the opportunity to. So I felt bad for her, because it was the first time she finally got to do that because of her friend.
Yeah, like even her wardrobe changes after she breaks away from the group. Like she starts dressing differently. Like Courtney would never let her wear a denim jacket, but she starts wearing a denim jacket. She her whole personality changes because she's no longer part of the Fab 3 or the Fab 4 or whatever they were called. She's okay. Who is Julie? Who is Julie outside of Liz, outside of Courtney? But I don't think you can talk enough about the fashion, but I'm always fascinated by the fact that her wardrobe changes completely once she's not with them.
She looks like a teenager.
Yes.
Like the clothing style becomes that of a teenager, instead of, like Dahlia saying, that they are dressed like women. And that jean jacket part was so like exactly, you noticed it, the jeans and the regular looking shirt and the ponytail, and it just, all of it speaks a lot of her. And even though she's flawed, because she still went along with the plan originally, she drove around with her friend in the trunk. So I always think of that too, but that shows more of like the teenager side. Big trouble. What do? We cover cover ourselves, but that didn't stop her from still trying to do the right thing
when she separated from the group. And I think that was a big point of it, because Marcy, right? When she stayed with Courtney, she never got the opportunity to think outside of what was going on. But yeah, Rebecca Gayheart's character definitely did. When she separated, she started to think more like, yeah, this is wrong. And then being able to have that. Even though it was supposed to be a love interest, it was, this person, a new friend that she was able to talk through, like what happened, and him being kind of like this moral compass for her, that she already had that, but it was, she was able to like talk through it and realize, like, you know what, I'm getting that, confidence to be able to do the right thing, which she obviously didn't have when Courtney's constantly, in her ear, telling her all the wrong things to do. That Marcy was a fox, Marcy Fox. I think she made a point of saying that Fox didn't have that opportunity.
Necklace. Let me go try hard all the time trying to fit it. But see, she's still like, if you look at her fashion too, and I'm going back to that because her character is its own, but she's like the follower. She's like the just stereotypical follower. She's trying so hard the whole time. Everything she does is like she's a coordinating piece for Courtney. Her outfits, a little bit like one time when they have the hose that have what's the line in the back of the hose?
Oh yes, I saw that. I noticed that.
Stockings.
Yeah.
Yes, she has one too, but going with the color of her outfit.
Uh-huh.
Hers is like her outfit, but different colors. Her accessories, and just trying so hard to just. But she's also just really mean. I don't think that you could get people to be like that if she's also not a really mean person. She wants to be popular or anything. So we'll get into Fern now, because we have to bring up Fern Mayo. They give her the plainest name.
I love her name though.
But yeah, it didn't seem that until I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, her name is like Fern Mayo. And she catches them in their scheme, and they change her so easily. It's like she was just screaming to be let in, and so much so that her, the person that she wanted to be friends with, the person that she loved, that Liz, she worshipped her privately.
Yeah.
She joins this group so quickly, even though that's gone. It could be like, I don't know.
It's like single white female. She loved the idea of Liz so much that when she got the opportunity
it was
to
more of
be
an
there,
obsession and not.
She went for it. And I did read that she was when she was Fern Mayo in the beginning was based on Carrie from the movie Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of her look, the way she, the way she's acting and stuff like that. So, and I totally see it. But what are your thoughts on her transition over to Violet?
I'm obsessed with that sequence. Like, I really love the idea that she had this not true love, but obsessive love with Liz and wanted to become her. And when they do that fantastic makeover scene, it's a montage of Violet in the makeover chair and Liz at the mortuary getting her makeup done for the funeral. And it, like, the way they shoot that and the way they cut it, she is literally taking Liz's place. Like, they become the same person, and then she emerges as, the new Liz. I'm obsessed with that sequence. I think it's so brilliant, and like, it's so sad, but so smart. And like, just like, it feels like some of the dream sequences from Heathers, like that kind of really arch, like high camp thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm obsessed with all the references. Like, this movie is so self-aware, but not, it doesn't get to be too much. I just like the Carrie scene, like recreating the Carrie prom scene with the slow-mo and everything. I'm sure we'll get to that. But yeah, when she just becomes Liz, like, she now is her own obsession. Like, how wonderful, quote unquote, for her that she gets to become this thing that she's wanted for so long.
And you can see a lot of that inspiration, like you mentioned, Carrie inspiration, Heather's inspiration, but it's still its own.
Yes.
It is that scene is it's so the way that they're like the way they cut the scenes together, the way they blend, the watching
and
her
the
makeup.
sound. I love the sound, the way it's
the outfit choices, the
Yes.
clothing that she's wearing in the end. It's so much so that when Violet is wearing that final outfit and she's standing there, is it a staircase? And Rose McGowan is to her right, but screen left. And I didn't notice Rose McGowan at first. That's how I think they did. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I watched it like twice and I was like, I forgot that she's standing there right next to her because she's become a thing. And then they give her name. And it's real funny because she's like, well, not your Fern's a plant, but not Rose. We won't name you Rose, and her real name
is Rose.
And they gave her the name Violet. And Violet is the character that I most, I think I love her the most because she has a little bit of all of, I think, like the teenager, like typical stereotypical, like either you're so shy, or you're so different that you don't belong to a big group, or you're wanting to be like the wannabe, and then part of the group, so she becomes popular. She has a whole arc that is just kind of like representative of a lot of different personalities, or the way that we see ourselves in our teen years. And she gets that shot at being popular, and she just like rolls with it and does it so
little
good
too quick.
Yeah, it's instantaneous. It's just like, I'm popular now. This is my name. And then, but she's emulating Rose and everything she told her to be too good because
it ends up,
like,
yeah, it ends up pissing off Courtney, and it's, I just think it's so funny in these movies when everyone can believe that this person came out of nowhere, and then like, oh, I heard this, I heard that. It reminded me of Never Been Kissed. Have you ever watched Never Been Kissed, Jessica?
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love. I love Drew Barrymore too. Okay, so obviously I love a lot of these actresses out there, but the whole when her character comes and they're like, oh, I heard she's dating this person. It's like, hello, people. It's just like, it's so funny. You can make up anything, and it's like I look back at my high school years. I was like, could something like that happen in my high school? I don't know if I would have fallen for that. But anyways, but I just thought it was so funny. And then that's when we get introduced to it's supposed to be a love interest, but I hate saying love interest because he's really just a friend. He's a friend to Rebecca Gayheart's character, and this is where
Zach.
but this is where some of the I hate to say of the time, and even though it does have a writer that is gay, it's like some of the characterizations of different people. It's just like it makes me cringe, like, oh, because like he's in drama, so maybe he's not straight, but what does it matter? It's like references like that. And again, I know it's campy and all that, so it does make me cringe, but I'm gonna look past it right now just because I have to, I guess. But I don't really care for him, but I like that her character had a friend, and that if they were going to have it as someone who could be a boyfriend, okay, all right, whatever. I like that for her because she was able to explore a little bit outside of the friend group. But I don't like him. I don't like him. I know that
they don't give enough of him for you to find interest in him, but she gives up all her secrets to him. Like, I just didn't right away. I was like, I thought it was interesting because she does need to get that relief from letting this off of her chest. I thought that was the whole purpose of the character, just to have somebody to help her get it off her chest, this huge weight. And that, I think, is what helped her. Like we noticed with her clothing change, her trying to do the right thing. She needed that confidant because she didn't have anybody else in that group. Liz was her childhood friend, and then she hung out with these other people who are popular, but yet separate themselves from everyone at the school by intimidation, bullying, just being so far out of reach that we needed somebody for her to confide in. And that, I think, is purpose.
For me, he's an instigator. So he's perfect that he's in the drama club or in drama. That was my thing. But so, Jessica, do you think he's more of an instigator, or more of like he's supposed to be the more moral compass here?
I feel like part of him is an instigator. Like he buys into the cliches, the stereotypes too much, because he's like, drama and sports do not mix. Like when he's like having the showdown with Violet.
Right? I'm like, you don't even know her and you're already talking shit to her, dude. Right. I'm like, I'm supposed to like you? I mean, yeah, I know it's kind of weird that she comes out of nowhere, but you don't know anything about her. And he's like, the whole sports thing. And then later on, he's just like, yeah, so I met this girl.
That's how unimportant he was to me. I just completely like ignore his lines. Because that's why I was like, I know why the character exists, but he, nothing he said really stuck out to me. I can't even remember, like, what does his voice sound like? I just listened to it like the day ago. So I guess so. Maybe he was just, and also he's put there to piss Dahlia off, So the writer knew Dahlia's Dahlia likes to have somebody in the movie to hate, and she's not going to hate Courtney.
But he does seem to get things going a little bit quicker, I think, with suggestions and stuff like that. So yeah, in a way it's good because then Rebecca Gayheart's character is able to go through the motions. I know it's for a movie and I know it is a movie, but be able to go through and process things a little bit quicker, which might have taken her a little bit more time if she was left alone with her thoughts, like maybe going back and forth, waffling a little bit. But in this way, she's able to propel things so that they can get a finality, a conclusion to Liz's story, because she deserved that, because they gave her the characters gave her an ugly death, because it couldn't just be enough that it was an accident. They had to, unfortunately, make it not only an ugly death, but tarnish her reputation in the process, which is sad. So,
and this plays more into like the fact
Yeah.
when we brought up, we keep saying Courtney, she's going over the top, but also she wants to ensure that she gets what she wants, because she took her place immediately, and nobody had anything bad to say about Liz before then, but let's ruin her completely even after death is completely shitty. It's like really super shitty. She didn't have to do any of that, but she did, because that is her. That's the way she is. And going along with the plan, though, that was the real messed up part from anybody who was in on it. Fern jumping in the scenario. And it's funny too, I'm going to bring up that Fern is going to the same school as Violet, that they don't know that's Violet, and they start counting her absent. Like,
they're counting her absent. So who's this girl sitting in her seat? That's so weird. It's so weird.
Oh, you need to speak with Fern Mayo, because Fern Mayo is the last person to go drop off the books for Liz. And they're like, oh, but she hasn't been at school for a few days. But there's a new girl, Violet.
I love that. I think that's a play on She's All That, where like you turn from this ugly duckling with glasses on, you take off the glasses and you're this supermodel. Like people would have recognized her. I'm sorry.
That's another
same
guilty
face,
pleasure movie
everything.
of mine. I love She's All That. It actually came out the same year as this. And so
Did it really the same year?
Yes, She's All That. This one, there were two other, what's that one? Cruel Intentions and
you had mentioned
10 Things I Hate About You. 10 Things I Hate About You. All came out the same year.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And the She's All That, changing her, cutting her hair, it's just like, but that's how unnoticed this girl was, that she had zero friends. And that's why she was so hard up for joining this group, because not only did somebody want to be her friend, this was the group. This was the fantastic, fabulous four. And she was going to be in this group all because she happened to see something. And that's why it was so easy to believe she has something over them too. It's like she had a little security because they're going to be her friends because she has a secret of theirs. But also I'm going to get what I've always wanted, instantaneous. She gets everything to her head. I love that outfit when she has the t-shirt that says bitch and the pink on pink on pink. Oh, I love it so much. Walking down the hall, they even redo the scene, walking down the hall with her, walking down the hall with them. And I love that they named her Violet and she's wearing pink all the time. And just like
I didn't really pay attention to that. You're right.
It's what the one of the biggest things that I thought was just the icing of the shittiest, scariest cake ever was the fact that Courtney's character has sex in Liz's bed with her underneath the bed. She moves her to do this thing. That right there was wow. That was that cemented it that she's gonna have to get hers. You know what I mean? Somewhere in this movie, we have to get a little justice for Liz because she took it further and further and further each time. And it was but she didn't tell anybody that she was doing those things either, which is wow, that's a lot of extra plotting. So we're just going to keep putting Jessica's right this whole time with her. This was premeditated. This is capital murder. This is first degree with extenuating circumstances.
So Jessica, what do you think of Rose McGowan's scene when she's doing the whole when she's telling the story of how she likes these boys or men?
I know, yeah. She liked men, strange men. Rose McGowan is such a good villain in this movie. I know why you love her so much because she is so good in this movie. I'm really fascinated with this is Courtney. I am not slut shaming. I am saying within the context of the movie, the characters view Courtney having sex with lots of strange men as a negative. And she is absolving herself of her sins by transferring them onto Liz. She is saying, you know, Liz did all these things. Liz is doing this. She like having sex on the bed with her body underneath is like a physical act of transferring her sins onto Liz and like purging herself. Like she is becoming the good girl by getting rid of the real good girl. And like it's I don't know what the expression is, but she like makes Liz into a totem and like transfers all her, like Liz becomes like a sin eater by dying, and she transfers it all to her and like cleanses herself. Like this is her emerging. Yeah, that's why that performance gets to me, because she's like really burrowing into that like innocent schoolgirl vibe that she wants to have.
And that's brilliant, because that does bring a lot of like meaning behind why she thinks it's so important to become that prom queen, and why I think that when some people have brought up like how did she get hers, like people wanted to see her get hers, you know, at the end of the movie. But it's like, what was it that she worked for this whole thing? Is that she's acting absolutely perfect and absolutely like the one everyone wants to be, with the end goal being, I'm going to have that crown on my head.
Even her dress, the way she's dressed is very angelic. The crown or the hair decoration, which is in a bit of trivia that I found. All of it, she looks, and the color of the dress and everything is very angelic. You're right, Jessica. I love that.
It's not bright. It's shimmery, and
because everything's been very bright, very pop color, you know, in your face. But yeah, she is able to shed that. And again, no slut shaming, because consensual people, you know, they're enjoying their sexuality. But yeah, she's somehow made to feel like it's bad and decides to transfer that over to Liz. And like even in the scene where when she's in the bed with that other, I don't know, he's a football player or whatever, with the popsicle, I think the way she's dressed also is kind of very, you know, innocent, quote unquote. So it, I hadn't really thought of that way, and I love that take on it, because because you do see that at the end when, like I said, because I always did think that the dress and everything, I thought she looked beautiful at the end, is very angelic. It's very contrary to the way she presented herself throughout the whole movie. And then you know, it happens, the ending happens and all that. But yeah, I love that. Now the hair piece came from the fact that one of the other actresses came out of the trailer and she had flowers in her hair and all that. And I guess Rose McGowan's look was going to have something else. And then when she saw that, she goes back to the trailer. I want something better than that. And I just love that she's just like, okay, this, you know, I'm Courtney. I'm supposed to be, you know, here. So change it up. And it's so funny because having not known that piece of little trivia, I always love that, and I keep doing like this swirling around my head because I don't know
like
what
exactly
halo. It is.
Well, it's like a lot of little halos over here, the ropes
around
that
her
are
hair.
swooping around her head. So we have now that we don't need to just tell everybody. We don't need to make sure that we get not just get justice for Liz. We also need everyone to know how horrible Courtney is, and that's where Zach comes in to help with the plan. Because they've already outed, like right before the big prom scene. Poor Violet. But she got really like, she's pushing people. She's stealing parking spots. She's trying to take everybody's mans. And remember the scene where she goes up to what's his face, and she wants and tells him like, you know, want to go out or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, the only reason she's really out is because she pisses off Courtney, because she's a better Courtney than Courtney. Yeah. She took Courtney's place. She's
like that, just like overnight. Courtney. It happened so quickly. She did it perfectly. Nobody was even thinking about her. It was all Violet. But yeah, then Violet came around so easily. So this is why I like the fickleness of these characters, because then it's so quick. Violet is now that Violet's not Violet and she's Fern again, Fern Mayo. Oh, you know, she's like brought back into this loving group and like, come help us take down Courtney. And it's like, yeah, let's go in this together. And like I said, I know I should, you know, not hate them as much as I do, but it does piss me off because again, Courtney's, she was doing all the wrong things, to, you know, tarnish Liz's recipe. What kind of recipe is this? Reputation. And, they all, had a part in it, but yet they all seem to be absolving themselves of their part by going after Courtney. And that's why at the end, it always made me so mad because Rebecca Gayheart's character was in the right to try to make sure that they found out the truth, I guess, basically. But her throwing it all onto Courtney has always made me so mad, even though they needed someone to put it onto, because she just, like I said, she did take it way too far. But it just always made me so mad because at the end, when she's just like, she lets everybody know what's going on. And then when she takes the picture, she's a mean girl at the end again. I'm sorry, but she is. Rebecca Gayheart is a mean girl.
Sees her as the mean girl. I don't see her as the mean girl.
I do.
I love this scene because
she's enjoying it way too much. And that's the part that's like,
the thing is, she hasn't enjoyed anything. But the big prom scene, okay, this is a Carrie-inspired, everybody pointing and laughing type thing. I think that this scene, the ending scene, is the greatest way to end the movie because there's more repercussions. Nobody else is going to get away with anything, Dahlia. This was just to show.
Oh no, I love the ending.
This was only to show Courtney, get her comeuppance. Is that what it's called? And because to me, I'm like, oh no, they're all going to get in trouble. I know, because I'm like, because they each played their part. And so, but that would be a boring ending where they show all of them getting arrested. This was better. This was better in the fun.
So what do you think of? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alma.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so what do you think of this ending, Jessica? Did it wrap up nicely for you? What was done differently? Not done differently?
I'm obsessed with it. Like the Carrie vibes throughout are so good, and then having the slow motion and the noise drop out where you're not sure what's going on. It's such a brilliant homage. But also, the only thing Courtney cared about was being loved, having popularity, and they took away the one thing she wanted most by exposing her in front of the whole school. Like, obviously Courtney's probably not going to do well in jail either, but like her worst nightmare just happened. Like, nobody's scared of her anymore. Nobody loves her anymore. Everybody hates her. She's the outcast now. I thought it was like such a smart way to turn the tables. Plus it just looked beautiful. Like this slow motion growing flowers and like you said at the very end where she's like,
I'm in love with the sound of it because it is very, like you said, it's very quiet and the muffled and the kind of like a slow-mo of even the voices and everything. And her face and that sound as her picture gets taken. It's like, if I could get that photo of that blown up and put over my bed, I would be in heaven. I've always loved that look, and she does it so well. And so Alma, I do like the ending. I just hate that.
Well, it's just because I'm secure and confident that they're all going to go to jail too. So it's okay. I don't know what kind of rich fancy lawyer you have, Julie. You're not getting out of anything. Accessory. I'm thinking accessory after the fact. I'm thinking tampering with evidence. Removal like a corpse. I'm just thinking all those things. So, that is the perfect thing because it was taking away everything that she built up to get.
Yeah.
Everybody abandoned her. Even Marcy was so quick to hide because she's in trouble. She
went under that table so quick.
She's in trouble, but also because she's like, oh shit, she's got it. Everybody knows they're going to know I help too. Automatically, she knows that. Mm-hmm. And so I think that no matter what, everybody knows that they played a role. But Courtney, I think, always thought that she was so just never going to get, caught. Okay.
So they were just guaranteeing, trying to make sure that she wasn't able to talk her way out of it.
Yeah,
I'll look at it that way.
And I love how it's found with the card because in the beginning, when she was playing with that card, that birthday card, she was like, "Oh, this is what we gave her on her 16th birthday," and they were talking, and she was pushing the button. That's when she recorded.
That's the part out of all this entire movie. That's the part I have always found the most unrealistic. Because have you ever bought one of those cards and tried to fucking record on one? I can never figure it out, and then and it plays back. It doesn't work that easily. Come on,
high tech for $99. It was a super duper high tech.
Okay, so one last person I did want to discuss because the beautiful Pam Grier. Now, this is kind of funny. The little bit of trivia was that when Judy Greer met Pam Grier on the set for the first time, she went up to her and she's like, "Oh, we had the same last name." And then Pam Grier looks at her and it's like, "I don't think we're related." I just thought that was so funny. But so it was kind of, so her character, this is one thing that I did want to bring up, which was very interesting. She is she has in her contract now, I don't know if she still does, but during that time period she would put in her contract, and it was in this contract, that she was going to do her own hair. She is a Black woman, and we see a lot of times, even today still, unfortunately, makeup artists and hairstylists on set are not they don't always bring someone on that does Black hair or Black makeup.
They're not equipped, or they're not.
And so she knew right off the bat she was going to do her own hair, and that makes me sad because I mean she was an icon then, and
this is Foxy Brown.
But so she did her own hair. So throughout the thing, you see like a variation, like 3 different wigs that she did. And I thought her hair looked awesome. When I always thought her hair looked great on there. But then finding out that piece that she was doing her own, because of the fact that, you know, but I didn't want to bring the party down. But I did want to mention that because it sucks, you know, because she was already many years at that point already an icon, and then she already knew that shit. But anyway, so she plays this detective, and I fucking love her. So Alma, what did you say? You just want to call her Vera Cruz. You don't want to call her, what did they call her?
And I think it's
Vera.
She introduces herself as Vera.
Oh, she does. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought that I heard somebody in the movie call her like Vera Cruz, or maybe somebody repeated it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they said it differently than she said. That's probably what threw me off too.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't want to give it a Spanish accent if it doesn't have one. But we always tend to do that. So.
Our mother was born in Veracruz too. So maybe that's why I like her so much. So yeah, her character, the detective. The one thing I will say I don't like about her character, the way it's written, is throughout the up until when she does a little flip-flop at the end, she is the one who is smelling something wrong with this whole story. She knows it, she feels it, but the way at the end she just accepts how it's tidily cleaned up. I'm like, I don't think she would have. I don't know. Or maybe she's just saying she accepts the story and we just never got to see anything else. But I don't believe that. I don't believe she would have been like, oh yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, she would have seen through Courtney's little own like weepy act right away.
That was too fakey, especially because she came in very like ready to interrogate these teenage girls, and yet at the end, in keeping though, I'd say it's in keeping with like the typical bad detective storyline. Sometimes where it's like, why did they investigate further, or they come in too hard and they stay hard. Or they just aren't doing their job. That's usually like bad writing of the detectives themselves in the movies, you know? So that could have been more in keeping with that. But you're right, it did kind of wrap up too quick. Maybe we'll add an extra scene, get everybody back in there. And
yeah, they're sitting they're sitting in their squad cars outside of prom, waiting for them to come out. But budgetary reasons, they couldn't make the last scene, and they said, "Oh, we're gonna have to cut it short, everybody. We won't be able to do this scene." And she's like,
Julie could get arrested first.
Well, Penny's like, "I got paid, right? Okay, I'm cool with that." So she's like, "Okay, we can end it here."
Yeah,
so
they'll snatch the Polaroid right out of Julie's hand and Dahlia. That way, you can get her arrested first. Okay. Do you have any favorite quotes, Jessica, from the movie?
Oh my gosh.
Favorite part or favorite quote? Whichever.
One of my favorite quotes is, "It's not like we kill people on purpose." The way she catches herself. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
There's so many good quotes, but that one always like jumps to the top of my brain. I'm like,
yes, it's a delivery because you can feel it that she's like, wait a second, on purpose. I love it when Fern Violet says she's so evil and she's only in high school. I love that. Because it's like, yeah, I was like, she realizes how awful she is, and that's the worst thing she could think of is that she's so evil.
But that I like that. That's like a recurrent thing. Sometimes I say, like, when people say like, "Oh, they're so evil," or whatever, and they're only like this age. It's just like it, you know. Yeah, it's funny. But so you were talking about quotes, and I saw this Hold on, it was right in front of me, and I scrolled away from it. Where are you?
Rocky
Okay, you already
Picture
said
Show.
about the fern is a plant, and then the rose was too obvious. That was perfect. There's a very it's like a very quick quote that's at the end of the movie. Rose McGowan goes up to to her friend's table and says, "Well, hello, you beautiful people," and that was a direct reference to Marilyn Manson's song. So like just that very quick little like thing like that, and you were supposed to get at that time because of which actually I like that song too.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I always like problematic people and things. Don't come at me, okay? Because I said I did like the music, but anyways, moving
I
on.
thought you were going to bring up Rocky Horror Picture Show because I love Rocky Horror Picture Show, and
that was another one. Yeah.
She says, "I made you, and I can break you just as easily." And when she said, "I was like, oh my gosh, that's what Dr. Frankenfurter says," and to his creation, because she's saying it to her creation. So it's like it's a perfect quote. I also it's weird because she's not my favorite character, but it kind of seems like she has all the best lines.
Yeah, of course. Let's see. Oh, Rose McGowan and Rebecca Gayheart both appear in the Scream franchise. McGowan obviously played Tatum Riley in Scream, and Gayheart played sorority sister Lois in Scream 2. Julie Benz appeared in a Scream spoof called Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. I haven't seen that one that I know of. Have you seen it, Jessica?
I have not seen that one, actually.
I'm going to have to look that up because I've seen a lot of the spoofs.
This, the iconic like walking in the beginning scene was spoofed for Not Another Teen Movie, and one of them trips and falls in a trash can, and I love that because that's how iconic that was. And that Not Another Teen Movie was one of my favorite like spoofs, like making fun of all the movies, because it was great because I don't know who said, I'm sure plenty of people have said it, that the Heathers came then this one, but it was like the Mean Girls, what was it? This one, the Jawbreaker walk so that the Mean Girls could run or something like that. Because it's like different generations.
Yeah.
But this one, each one like Heathers of its own time, Jawbreaker of its own time, and
I love that.
Mean Girls of its own time.
And I like them all. That's so cool that you're right. I guess even though Mean Girls wasn't made that long after this, you do think of it as almost a different generation.
And that's why I love to say like this one is out of time a little bit because of the fashion choices, because of the also because those weren't future ones like Mean Girls. That wasn't a dark comedy like this. This was like had some really like a heavy like intro with this death here, and the movie played off this horrible accident. No, but we're not going to call it. We're going to call it premeditated murder.
Okay, and one last thing I want to say about quotes is that the only line of dialogue Liz Purr has in the whole film is, "What are you doing to me?" I wonder what they were doing. Did we ever find out what shit they were doing to her? Because they said it was from last year's prank. What was last year?
They're gonna take her and stuff her with pancakes. And the first thing they did, that's what they said. They're going to take her and stuff her with pancakes. I love the way they said it because they're going to go eat big and then go to school. But then that was also bring back to the sadness. How come nobody knows she wasn't there for her own birthday? This was her 17th birthday, and she dies on her 17th birthday. And where's your best friend? Isn't today her best friend? That shows how much they were so separated from the rest of the high school because. It was just
17.
them.
You just said she was turning 17. So this friend group was supposed to be 16, 17. That's fucking young, man. That's young. And they were up to like really bad shenanigans. What the hell? Okay. Well, again, I like it. I love this movie. Jessica, Alma, I've enjoyed talking about this. I could go on longer. So just some last thoughts and all that about this movie. Anything you want to share? Anything else, Jessica?
I love it. Like if you've never seen it, but you love Heathers, you love Mean Girls, or you just like dark comedies, please check it out because it's so good. And like the soundtrack is amazing. Like I've had the soundtrack stuck in my head all day. Like it's so iconic for so many reasons.
The soundtrack is amazing. The Yoo-Hoo song, even just that will get stuck in a loop in my brain, for
and they have the actual Donnas. How did we not bring that up yet?
Right.
Performing at the prom.
Yes.
The music is great. Everything is a plus in the movie.
Anything cool from the because I don't have the Blu-ray. Anything cool that they added or that's different on there that maybe we don't get in the regular Prime TV or Prime Video release?
I'm slacking because I haven't looked at like the special features. Like I read the oral history of Jawbreaker where they talk about some of those anecdotes, like Rose McGowan's hair, where she's like, I want mine to be better and things like that. But I haven't checked out the special features, so I need to do that and report back.
So, who was your favorite characters to cosplay, or have you done them all?
I've only done Courtney and Violet so far. Courtney was my favorite because when I cosplay, I try to like embody the characters and their attitude, and just trying to adopt that bitchy attitude was so much fun. But also Violet is all pink, and pink's my favorite color. So it's, but I do need to do the rest of the characters though.
Okay, yeah, so but I think those are the funnest because of like it's like also an attitude, you know.
Yes, like you said, you have to get into it. Yeah.
And I think only Violet could have pulled off. I keep saying the pink on pink on pink because she was wearing like the lycra pants and the top. But I loved it when she wore that T-shirt with the bitch.
Yes,
I was like, I need one like that. I'm kind of really nice, but I want everybody to think I am. I have my hot pink cardigan. That's the most, I got. But yeah,
I have a pair of socks. I was looking on the floor right now because I had just taken them off. I have this pair of socks that I wear with when I just started roller derby, and the socks say "I'm that bitch."
Oh,
so I was like looking at them. Nobody wants to see my dirty socks. I just. I'm not wearing a shirt that says it, but I have socks that say "I'm that bitch." But again, I think you have to have some level of creativity, and I'm not creative at all, and I wouldn't be able to do anything really cool. I'd be like, "This is my shirt that says I am Violet." That's it.
I have a pink ladies shirt that I was gonna wear just for no reason, but then I got really excited because I like to do eye makeup a lot, and so my inspiration. I don't cosplay or anything. But when I get like in moods, I love to do my makeup. I love to do eye makeup. And it was really hard. Like growing up, I never had like the beautiful variety that you can get with eye makeup that shows up on my skin color or that looks like it's bright on my skin color. And now I can find so much. So I saw you and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, sometimes I'll do really red when I'm like looking at a movie. I just try to like embody it with my eyes. And so I wanted to do pink tonight. And I have, this is Tapatio's special edition Dia de los Muertos makeup.
I love it.
And so it has the pink. Oh, I always forget. So it has the pinks that I like on there with the pink glitter. And I was like, I used that. And I was so excited because I got to pull out my Lisa Frank one. And I'm like, ooh, I got my pink in there. So I use that pink too. So I get really into stuff that way. If you call like makeup to be cosplaying. But
and you do it so fun. Okay, so Jessica, where can our listeners find you? Find on your socials? Where do you want to send them to read all your awesome reviews and articles?
You can find me on Twitter at We Who Walk Here. I'm always sharing like my portfolio and links to things I've written. I write for Film Cred and Daily Grindhouse and Hear Us Scream and a lot of other places. I've got a link to my portfolio and like links to my cosplay and stuff. Just everything is on Twitter at We Who Walk Here.
Okay, great. And we are following you there. And we'll make sure to put that in our show notes. And one last question I like to ask our guests is horror movie coming up this year that you're really excited about. Or you know what? It didn't have to be a movie, horror series, anything. I
am so excited about Nope. I can't even stand it. Nope is the movie I'm looking forward to the most.
And I love that. That's what I love about too. This horror. It's like something fun to look forward to. It's just like we always have something, and especially with these past couple of years, it's going on 3 years. I want to cry here, you guys. It just seems like maybe not. It's 2 years. It feels like it's been 5 years. I'm just going to say it's just like something that we can look forward to. So I get it. I get now why we have been looking forward to. Well, some of us have been looking forward to Texas Chainsaw Massacre through this shitty past couple of years. And then if it didn't meet your expectations, I can see why people are pissing on it, because it's just like, we just want to have shit to look forward to. And so, although that one is, I think we will all be liking that.
Yeah, I'm like having to avoid everything. So I don't want anybody to ruin it for me beforehand. I just want to go in and be excited. See, I'll just get excited. I know, and I will just let it stay at that. I'm gonna that I know it's coming out. When it comes out, I'm gonna watch it. It's gonna be so exciting, and then it becomes an experience, just like the old way of going to the theater all the time.
And how about a horror series that we can binge? You have anyone that you love and you want to recommend?
I mean, Yellow Jackets. I am just obsessed with Yellow Jackets. I am so ready for season 2. I know it's going to be a while, but I'm going to rewatch season 1 a million times. So yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so like I said, we'll make sure we put all that in our show notes. And thank you so much again, Jessica, for joining us and talking about Jawbreaker. Because again, we could have probably gone on forever, but Alma's really good producer. She's able to rein me in, especially because, like I said, I knew this was going to be a Rose McGowan Love Fest, and I'm glad that Alma was able to pull me back.
Team Violet.
Alma, where can people find us on the interwebs?
You can go to our website at nightmaremoviepodcast.com. Our email is nightmaremoviepodcast@gmail.com. Our Instagram at nightmaremoviepodcast. Our Twitter is at nightmareon5th. That's nightmare on 5th. And we have a Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee.
So our Patreon is patreon.com/nightmare movie podcast. We have several tiers there for you to choose from. And we have a Buy Me a Coffee if you want to do just a one-time donation and give Dahlia more coffee to keep her awake and binging all these shows. Because right now I'm watching Alma. I haven't finished the Korean zombie one yet. Alma just finished it.
Finish it. It took forever.
I know, they're really long. It's so good. It's so good.
It's really long.
So, but our Buy Me a Coffee, see, I get distracted very easily. It's not the coffee. buymeacoffee.com/nightmarepod. And yeah, so again, thank you all so much for joining our discussion on Jawbreaker and Rose McGowan and the other people.
Thank you, Jessica, for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Nightmare on 5th Street, a horror movie podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to follow and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Also, leave a review or share what movie you would like us to discuss. As always, thank you for listening.